It's been a long journey to get here, but we finally made it. 1,000 subscribers, and I only made it because of you guys. Hey, welcome back. This is Cetriya, Cetriya. Again, I want to say thank you all for finally making it over the 1,000. And for this video, I'll be answering a couple of viewer questions while drawing the new 2019 YouTube banner art. Eventually, it'll be updated on the channel. If you are new to my channel, let's say you just randomly stumble by, maybe you read one of my funny comments on another video, I work on art, illustrations, and especially comics. So as I said for this video, I'll be answering some reader questions. Feel free to leave your questions below. And plus I got a few other tidbits and notes that I want to share with you guys. First and foremost, the latest update of Crossstar, part 1 of chapter 3 is uploaded and out, so be sure to check out the links below to go ahead and read the part 1 of the sci-fi comic. For that, I know I am severely behind in the schedule that I wanted to put on myself, but also realizing that I need to be far more realistic in what I am capable of doing. Also being able to be flexible with what I also want to do. So not just comics, but work on other type of illustrations and projects while holding down a full-time job and other life obligations and stuff. So for that, let's go ahead and start out with the questions. They're not in any particular order, but I'm going to go ahead and try to get it. So the first question I'll be answering is from Asia Deshay, and she asked, what made you want to pursue art as a career? It's a pretty strange it's almost organic kind of way of getting into wanting to do art for a career. I think for most artists who really push to make their art career work, it's mostly because we're okay doing something else, but we're the best at doing art, and other things aren't enough to even really provide like that much of a viable income. Now I could probably do so, but I have such like a weird itch to continue to do art, and since I know I can do that on a regular, consistent basis, I figure it was strangely enough practical to do art as a career. It all started I didn't even know what I wanted to do when I was younger. I did not, come out of the mother's womb drawing. For the most part, it was probably around 7th grade, which is like the middle school years, probably around like 11 years old, that I said, oh, I want to write some stories. That's when the anime was starting to really take hold in North America, so both America and Canada. And then from there, I realized no one was going to do any of my drawings, so therefore I started to draw my artwork. And it wasn't until maybe the second half of 11th grade, which is the second to last year before you go off into college/university, that I said maybe I should try working on art for a career, because I just don't see myself doing any other type of things. Like it was either art or some kind of like random office job, administrator, which strangely enough, that's what I end up doing. I do art, but I do it in an office cubicle, so I guess I ended up with both. But then I decided, I went straight to art school. The first one was SCAD, so Savannah College of Art and Design, and from there I went there probably 2 months after I graduated high school. Pretty much got up to junior year because I didn't take any summers off, and then I withdrew took a little break. There was some family issues. There's still always forever family issues. Then went to community college for graphic design, dropped out of that, and then eventually when I got to a certain age where you can take out student loans without them calculating your parents' income with it, I went back to Ringling and I got a scholarship to go through Ringling, and now I'm in the midst of paying back my student loans. So for some reason I was just really focused on making art as a career, and not in that weird kind of dream state, more so because it's just very practical. Art touches all our lives, and even people might be like, oh, well, art's not a good career. It's like, well, someone had to make your movies. In my case, I work on clothes, apparel, and home decor. So someone designed your curtains. Someone made those pretty bathing suits and beach towels and, table runners and your shorts and your shirts and your dresses. Someone had to make all those pretty prints that you see on like the men's ties and graphics on t-shirts. Someone did. So that is more of the area that I work in, is apparel. So if anyone says that, oh, art is not a career, it's like, that's not true. The only one that's probably far more less step-by-step is probably painting. For stuff like that, there's less step-by-steps, but even that, like, I feel like fine artists and painters in America and illustrators are getting more and more practical in sharing their work. So don't feel like, if you're gonna go into art, you're not gonna make money. It's just you have to really be practical in choosing whether, how you're gonna go about and making a living wage on it. So On to the next question, and this is from Paradise of Darkness. It asked me, this is actually a funny little question. Did I always have my channel name like that? And then I eventually had changed it, and she asked about it used to be shorter. So this is a good question in terms of like YouTube career. And I used to follow a lot of how to do YouTube type of channels, you know, from like Tim Schmoyer and video creators, video influencers, Roberta Blake and stuff like that. And there was things that they mentioned, and I think one of them had kind of side mention why you should have like your title of your, you know, your name kind of describe what your channel does. And that's only because I feel like some of you guys have subbed to me because you saw my avatar, but then my name, you know, Satria's Art and Comics channel, give you a quick descriptor of what my channel is about, so you bothered to check it out. So that's why I changed it from just Satria, because Satria means absolutely nothing, but saying it's Art and Comics channel, then you're like, oh, she does arts and comics, especially if you see me commenting on some other person's video. And that's just kind of like a quick little almost SEO way to get people to check out your channel. Whereas other names that I love you all, but some of you guys' names I would not be able to tell immediately what your likes are, what you're into, or what is it that you do. So that's why I changed the title of the name to, you know, Satria's Art and Comics. I figure it's just something very simple for people to understand who and what I am. So next question is from Ladybug Forever. And that question is, what are my dreams and goals? There are people who have a very, very focused kind of image of what their dreams and their goals are. In truth, the way I kind of like the very high level way that I envision my I guess rest of my life is, you know, own a cute little cottage or a nice little duplex, has a nice backyard, and you know, I just wake up in the day, do whatever chores that needs to be done, and then go towards the drawing board or go out and paint and draw, and then share all my artworks to as many people as possible. And then, you know, from time to time, maybe do like a yearly or every 2 years little 1 month sabbatical in Japan, because I just like it. I would like to do that, you know, and things like that, and keep up with my spiritual routine, and just try to work on getting better on my art and getting, you know, working on being a better human being. No one's perfect, so I would like to focus more on trying to be the best version of myself as possible, and to try to simplify my life and keep it as nice and enjoyable. And in the midst time, just keep on developing new stories to share with the world, you know, because I know when people receive some of my art, or whenever I receive some other people's art, it brings joy to me. So I would just like to, I guess, spread more of that joy, and that's something that you look forward to after, you know, a hard day of work, or a busy time with the family, or, you know, it's a nice day outside and you just want to go out and read a good little book. So that is kind of sort of my dream goals type of thing. It's nothing big or fancy. I just want to be quietly, you know, producing more and more art and becoming better and better as a person. So on to the next question. This is from Carjin's Watercolors. See, there you go. I understand this person like watercolors. Let's see. I'm trying to summarize through some of these things. Okay, so her question, I'm just going to read it out, is she has two questions. The first is about my comic. Is it easy to decide which story you want to tell among the ones you think of, the many that I think of, and if you ever worry that you'll grow bored of your story and characters? So I'll answer that first question. It's not necessarily easy, and it was more difficult than it is now. At the start, is as you go on with your journey, whether it's comics or art, you're going to start to know more and more of yourself and what you like and dislike. So by the time you start thinking of your stories, let's say you come up with the idea, just go ahead and just kind of regurgitate it down on paper, or just type it out. And then, you know, if you realize a couple of months later that you're still interested in the topic, then go ahead and try to flesh it out a little bit more, and then give it some space, and then go back to it. There are plenty of ideas that I wrote down and I'm just kind of like, I'm not feeling it. And then the next thing you know, about 2 or 3 years later, or even more, I'll go back into it, and maybe because of my life experiences, and now I'm reading the description with fresh eyes, now I'm kind of like, I think I'm ready to make a story like this. Like I can really feel like the story is just blossoming in my mind. So it's kind of a feel thing, and it's just as you go. But I would definitely recommend just writing or regurgitating anything that you got at your first initial conception of the drawings or the comics, and just put it down, and then just give it just some time and rest. And then one day when you feel like you kind of feel like working on something, but you don't know what, go back and just gold mine your sketchbook and your notebooks. As far as me growing bored, I do. And it's a mix between me being genuinely lazy versus me not properly fleshing out the story in the beginning. And this is happening less and less to me because I'm getting to know me as an artist and as a person. So because of that, I'm able to make these kind of decisions of whether something's worth it ahead of time. I recently canceled or stopped working on the webtoons because I quickly realized I just do not like drawing in the webtoon format. Neither do I like reading in the webtoon format. It's really hard for me to get to reading webtoons. I don't know why, but because I was raised on reading comics a certain way, a certain format, a certain look, that's part of my experience. But that's just something you learn about yourself. So as time goes on, you'll start to realize what is it that you like and what you're passionate about, and then you're just going to naturally keep on developing things that you like. So if you naturally like it, you won't get bored of it. There is a caveat that, like I said, I'm naturally lazy. There is a caveat that sometimes the resistance that you're feeling is not because you're actually bored, as in the story is not good, but you're just coming to a point where now you have to work on your mental focus to focus on the work and get over the hill of not keeping attention to your work. The second question she asked, or she asked, the second is about my cutting machine that you said. Okay. What do you think are the important things to look for in a secondhand art supply? When I'm looking for anything secondhand, first I think about the safety. Would it be safe for me to actually use or handle? Second, I think about the durability of the original product, that after a while, would something be damaged, and is it, hard or easy to fix? For example, if I'm getting secondhand markers, more than likely I would need to know who I'm getting the markers from, and I would need to see a lot of photos of the actual tips, like opening the caps of the markers and showing me all of the photos, because especially online, when you get something that kind of secondhand, they might be run too low or too less of an ink, or they might be damaged just because those are sensitive parts. Whereas the example asked here was a cutting machine, or let's say I get a secondhand tablet or something. Those are heavier, dutier items, and it's not like it would be difficult to replace certain things. Like, for example, the cutting machine is just missing a blade. And when I had purchased that one, I purchased it through Facebook. I just asked the person to please record a video of them working or using the thing and show a demonstration. So the more information you have of a person using it, in a recent times, and as many photos as they have, will give you more information of whether the tool is actually working. Anytime you have doubt, or if it's something sensitive, I would definitely give that tool a pass. Wait for another used one to come out on the market, or just splurge and get a new one. So the next question is by Neftali Albert, and that one is just a simple request of Crayola artwork. I've commented off and on that I don't necessarily want to be a marker only channel, because I like markers, but I like other things too. And I hope you guys stick with me, even though you see me do a bunch of other kinds of artwork. I hope you guys do stick with me, but I do all the materials that you see me showing on the website, unless I say I don't like it, I will be using them throughout the future, because I'm trying not to just collect, art supplies and then just not use them. MJ asks, what's my favorite book series, and if I read Harry Potter. I do not read fantasy. I don't read fantasy. I just don't. Especially if it's in prose or, just regular literature. I read a couple of manga fantasies, but fantasy is just not a genre that I particularly care for. It's just, I don't know. I'm just not interested in it. It doesn't scratch the itch that I like, which is, it just does not scratch the itch that I like in terms of internal conflict. Not that they don't have internal conflict, but the type of conflict that they usually focus on is not one that I particularly care about. And because of that, it's just, I don't know why. I don't like most of the concepts. I don't particularly care for historical fantasy either. I just don't. It's one of those things. It's like, why do you like Italian food versus Chinese food? It's just whatever your taste is. So I'm not really into fantasy. And I don't read that much prose. The last one that I've read was I'm not exactly sure how she calls the series, but I want to say it's the Scolian Empire series. It's 20 something odd books, and it's from Catherine Asaro, and it's a space opera drama. I like space opera dramas. I'm not too much into the military sci-fi all that much, but I will read a couple of that. I eventually need to go back and read some classics, such as the name is missing, but the classic military sci-fi authors from way back when. You know who those people are. The name escapes me. Anyways, but yeah, I want to go back and read some more sci-fi series. So Yeah, I know people really love Harry Potter and whatnot, but it falls into fantasy. I don't like it. Same thing with for a lot of anime. I don't know if it's just me being tired because it's not like I have an older version of of a series like that I care for. Like I don't care for Little Witch Academia. It's not bad. I love the animation. I like looking at the sketches. I just don't care. So it's. I mean, if more shows would science fiction in general, I feel like takes a bit of a back burner to begin with when it comes to media, and it's okay. It's rarely ever adopted, but it's whatever, you know. So I like sci-fi over fantasy any day. It just doesn't fantasy just doesn't scratch my itch. um Amorous Joseph asks, what's a passion project? A passion project is a side project that you put your love and your passion and practicality in it. And it's usually, I would not suggest you last a long time on it, maybe like about a month to 3 months working on it, and then gradually, expand to making bigger and bigger projects. Jake Parker has a better video for that when it comes to passion projects. And anyone in the creative field, especially anyone, Bobby Chu, anyone in the creative field, always talk that you need to have some kind of side project that is yours, because that's the area where you don't need to worry about that's your actual training ground. You know, you always see that in mangas and stuff and animes and cartoons and, you know, whatever, epic adventures or whatever, where there's always a training session. And that is basically what your passion project is, because that's where you're gonna develop as you as a person, develop you as a creative, see what you like, what you don't like, where you have problems. Because if you go and try to practice on a client's work and it doesn't come out right, you know, now they're going to question your capabilities. Whereas a passion project, there's no one that you're really answering to except for yourself. So passion project is a side project that you guys really need. Oh, well, I only had about 8 questions so far, and I feel like this had gone on for quite a bit. So thanks again, you guys, for, we coming together and making it at 1,000. My next, I guess, upload goal is 5,000. That's probably going to take another 2-3 years. We shall see. I have been a little slow on some of the videos, and that's only because just life in general, and just recovering myself from a little stomach bug, I guess, and the sudden change of weather, because that's Florida. It doesn't gradually get cold. It just drops 25 degrees within an hour. And stuff like that. Recovering from a questionable experience in purchasing a new car. Would not suggest it to anybody. And just working on putting things up and, maintaining websites and other social media platforms. But like I said, again, Crossstar has been uploaded, so please take a look at that. Again, if you have any questions that you guys would like to ask me, I'll make it in the next Q&A video. I'll probably make that every quarter, like every 3 months. I'll just make a Q&A video for you guys. And again, thank you so much for the 1,000. It may be small, but just envisioning if all you guys was in one room, just 1,000 people staring back at me, that would be quite a lot. So thank you again. Hope to see you guys continue on with the journey. Check out my next videos, and please have a pleasant day.